The ASEAN Economic Community, established in December 2015, is a regional integration body made up of the political security community, the economic community, and the socio-cultural community. Its establishment resulted in improved infrastructure and economic growth in Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and China. The flow of people, goods, and capital is currently accelerating. However, behind this remarkable economic development, it accelerated economic disparity between nations and income differences between cities and farming villages. This has caused increased numbers of illegal labor migration, and these cross-border issues are becoming more serious. One of these issues is human trafficking. It treats human dignity as a toy. Victims are deeply affected psychologically, emotionally, and physically. In response to these issues, Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, has been launching various measures in Southeast Asian countries. Miss A is 16 years old and lives with her parents in the Mekong Delta. Her help with housework and farm work was indispensable for her parents to earn a living. Even so, life wasn't easy at all. Then one fateful day, her uncle brought a man to their house. A saw her father take more money than she had ever seen before from the man. Then he said to her, "I want you to marry a foreigner so that we can have this big money." She was told, "It's for the family." She could do nothing but take his words and obey. There was nothing to do but prepare herself for her fate in light of traditional customs, which dictate you must support your family, even if this means sacrificing yourself. She was married as soon as she arrived at her destination country. However, they took her passport away and made her to work like a slave from morning until late at night. The reality was very different from the promise of getting married and starting a family. She was not fed properly and was sometimes subjected to violence. She was trapped physically and psychologically, and under extreme emotional stress due to fear, sadness, and instability. She lived in such harsh conditions for about 3 years. However, one day she saw a chance and escaped successfully. She was taken to a social rehabilitation facility for trafficked persons and went through the counseling. Now she's finally back home with her loving family. However, she can't help recalling what happened in those painful days, and she suffers from nightmares and insomnia. There was another young woman, Miss B, who was trying to go abroad, caught up in talk of a job in which she could earn 10 times what she earns now. She had always dreamed of living and working overseas, so she started preparing right away, full of hope. Her mother started to press her for information. Where overseas will you go, and what will you do? She replied that she had gotten to know a man who lived overseas on social media, and they'd become good friends. She then told her mother that he had invited her, telling her she could earn well overseas and would be granted with residency. The mother called the police immediately. In actual fact, she was undergoing training as a part of a human trafficking prevention project. She knew immediately from her daughter's story that this was a classic case of human trafficking. However, Miss B ran away from home despite her mother's objections. Several days later, the police took her into protective custody just at the border. She was safely brought back home, but she thought she lost a chance to go abroad and earn a lot, so she resented her mother for reporting her plan to the police. Then her mother took her to a facility that cares for women that have been victims of human trafficking and made her undergo counseling. After talking to a social worker about her situation, she learned that she had been about to become a victim of human trafficking. She realized that her mother had saved her from a dangerous situation and is now grateful. In recent years, the number of male trafficking victims has also been increasing, in addition to women and children. There are the impoverished people and the people persecuted by society, but the significant cases in recent years are the victims not poor, but deceived because they idealize the rich and golden life overseas. Human trafficking from the greater Mekong sub-regional countries is not just limited to Thailand, Myanmar, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, and China, but is also spreading to other parts of Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. The number of victims is estimated to be about 100,000 per year, but this could be even higher with the number of cases that never come to light. Worldwide, victims are mainly women and children at 70%, and 2 out of 3 children are girls. Many are victims of sexual abuse, and about 18% are used for forced labor. The forced labor market is worth as much as $20 billion and is the second biggest international crime following drug abuse. Did you know that human trafficking targeted at people in the Mekong countries may actually even exist somewhere right next to you? It is predicted that with the economic development of ASEAN countries and the stimulation of the tourism industry, the victims of human trafficking will increase in the Mekong Delta and in Japan. Japan is carrying out initiatives to eliminate human trafficking, but there are calls for more Japanese people to have concern about human trafficking and to make sure that no one becomes a victim. There are 4 countermeasures against human trafficking: policy, prevention, protection, and prosecution, known as the 4 Ps. Out of these 4, JICA concentrates on protection of victims and prevention of human trafficking. JICA carried out a survey on the current state of anti-human trafficking measures from 2005 to 2008 in the Mekong region, in Cambodia, Vietnam, Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand. It then commenced a technical cooperation project in Thailand in 2009 at the request of the Thai government. Following its rapid economic development and upgraded information distribution systems, Thailand has become a source country from where people are trafficked and a transit country, which means people are sent via Thailand to a third country. It is also a destination country for victims from the Mekong region countries. It is here that JICA carried out its project to protect human trafficking victims and promote support for their self-reliance recovery. Support through cooperation between various different government ministries and agencies and NGOs, etc., is essential for the protection of human trafficking victims. JICA established multidisciplinary teams, or MDTs, which are groups which protect victims, assist their return home, and support them until they are rehabilitated back into society. The Ministry of Social Development and Human Security's Division of Anti-Trafficking in Persons, or DATIP, acts as coordinator with various organizations in specialist fields, such as the police, labor departments, lawyers, and public health ministries, all working together to solve problems. It was also necessary to enhance the quality and capacity of the MDTs in order to foster support for the protection and independence of victims. Thus, JICA commenced the project in 2010 in partnership with the Division of Anti-Trafficking in Persons, DATIP, in the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security, MSDHS, as the counterpart. Division Director Ms. Suari Jaihan plays a central role in the project.
ในความร่วมมือกับไจก้าเนี่ยนะคะก็ฉันคิดว่าเป็นเรื่องที่มีความสำคัญเพราะว่าไจก้าเนี่ยสนับสนุนการดำเนินงานนะคะของกระทรวงแล้วก็ของประเทศไทยในแง่ของทางด้านวิชาการนะคะซึ่งอันนี้เป็นเรื่องของการสร้างระบบกลไกการทำงานในเรื่องของการต่อต้านการค้ามนุษย์เนี่ยให้เกิดความเข้มแข็งนะคะในอนุภูมิภาค
With the support of the Ministry of Social Development and Human Security as the coordinating body, the NGO and other groups' activities have widened in scope. The capital of Thailand, Bangkok. With JICA's cooperation, a facility has been operating here since 2010 to provide resettlement support for Thai women who have been the victims. Several former victims of human trafficking are registered here as staff. They carry out awareness campaigns to people at schools and other facilities on how to avoid getting caught and being the victim of human trafficking. About 750 kilometers to the northeast of the capital Bangkok is the province of Bungkang, located on the national border with Laos. Today, the staff of LOL visited a school. These are the high school senior students about to graduate. The staff introduced the examples of human trafficking in an easy-to-understand manner and also explain what is required for them to work overseas through a little drama. The performers are women who are former victims of human trafficking. Because these women have overcome a difficult past, they engage with this topic with passion, telling their own stories to try and eliminate victims of human trafficking. They also hold workshops where they speak directly with the students about human trafficking. These activities are held all over the country, about 40 times a year in various facilities. There is something in particular that the performers want participants to feel through these activities.
ก็คืออยากให้เยาวชนนะคะมีความรู้แล้วก็สามารถเอาตัวรอดได้จากการที่จะถูกล่อลวงในอนาคตถ้าเขามีการย้ายถิ่นหรือว่าไปทำงานอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเขาก็จะมีข้อมูลมีความรู้ที่ไปแล้วก็จะปลอดภัยแล้วก็ไม่ต้องถูกหลอกค่ะ
When the ex-victims work on these activities together, it also helps their rehabilitation back into society. JICA expert Ms. Momose, who has been supporting their activities since 2009, also has something in particular she wants people to feel through the project.
この問題はでもメコン地域だけじゃなくて世界中全部であって、で日本にももちろんある。でも日本の人たちがどれだけ知ってるかというと、それはあんまり知られてない。 で日本の場合は日本人の被害者もいれば海外からの被害者もいて、貧しいとこから来ている人たちには、何をしてもいいってちょっと言い方は変ですけれども、お金欲しくて来てるんだろうっていう見方がある。そこら辺はやっぱり違うというところで、もうちょっとこのプロジェクトを通して人権意識とか人道意識とか日本のそういったものが上がればなっていうふうには思ってます。
April 2015 saw the start of even more initiatives. In response to the outcomes and challenges of Phase 1, in the second phase, JICA will focus not only on activities aimed at strengthening the MDT approach in Thailand, but also strengthening cooperation with Mekong countries such as Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Members of Japan Overseas Cooperation Volunteers are also active in this field here in Thailand. This vocational training center, which looks after women with disabilities, protects the victims of human trafficking and supports their rehabilitation back into society. This center is for affected women between 12 and 20 years old and gives them vocational training for society reintegration. Ms. Makizono, who works as a volunteer, says that there was one girl in particular who left an impression on her. This girl was from Laos and was sold by her parents when she graduated elementary school.
12歳でタイに送られて、でパスポートもない状態で来て、不法入国で来てて、で12歳で店でカラオケ店で働き始めたんですけど、毎日叩かれて殴られて、で毎日すごく辛かった。でご飯も与えられない。で、部屋は必ず鍵をされて監禁されてる。でそれが12歳で2年間働いたらしいんですけど。
However, a man she met there helped her to escape. Soon the girl was taken into protective custody near the border of Laos and brought to this center. It's also a very important role for Japanese overseas cooperation volunteers to work closely with these victims. After JICA finalized its project in Thailand in 2012, it also established projects related to human trafficking problems in Myanmar and Vietnam. Myanmar shares borders with 5 countries, including China and Thailand, and there are many cases of human trafficking in the areas near these borders. There are a lot of victims of human trafficking, but the victim support structures and social worker skills are still insufficient for the task. JICA implemented a project to upskill the staff, such as the social workers, to protect the victims of human trafficking and support their self-reliance recovery. The project was carried out over 4 years from June 2012 until June 2016 and trained support personnel to be able to provide support in accordance with individual victims' needs, using ideas from victim-centric principles in order to improve their counseling skills. This project was done in partnership with the Ministry of Home Affairs, Myanmar Police Force, Anti-Trafficking in Persons Division, and the Ministry of Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement, Department of Social Welfare. Located near the center of the country is the nation's capital, Naypyidaw, in the state of Mandalay. This is the Department of Social Welfare, where anti-trafficking activities are carried out. This is Division Director Ms. Yu Su, who has been involved with anti-human trafficking activities since before the project commenced.
လူကုန်ကူးမှုနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့လူကုန်ကူးခံရတဲ့သူတွေပြန်လည်လက်ခံတာလူတိုင်းဝိုင်းတွေကိုပြန်လည်ပေါင်းစည်းတာပြန်လည်ထူထောင်တာတွေကို
This is the Assistant Director who has been involved in training social workers through the project.
ဒီ JICA project မှာကျတော့တခြားဆက်ဆက်နေတဲ့အဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေပေါ့နော်။ဆိုလူကုန်သားရဲတွေဒီထွေအုပ်တွေမြို့သမီးရေးရာတွေလူမှုဝန်ထမ်းတွေအလုပ်သမားတွေအဲ့လိုဆက်ဆက်အဖွဲ့အစည်းအကုန်လုံးပေါင်းမိတက်ရတဲ့တင်နန်းဖြစ်တာပေါ့
This is the Information Center for the Victims of Human Trafficking, started as a pilot project at the suggestion of social workers who had been trained by the JICA project. This facility is the first of its kind in Myanmar. It's an information center for the victims and for the people who provide victim support.
ကျမတို့ဒါလူကုန်ကူးမှုကာကွယ်တားဆီးနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ပေါ့နော်ဂျက်ကားဒါတင်နန်းပေးတာလေးလည်းရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်နောက်ဂျက်ကားလည်းဒီဂျပန်လည်းလာပြီးတော့မှဒီဆီယာမတွေပေါ့နော်လူကုန်ကူးခံတဲ့သူတွေပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ကျန်းမာရေးစောင့်ရှောက်မှုပဲဖြစ်ဖြစ်ပေါ့နော်ဒီလိုမျိုးလေးတွေပေါ့နော်သူတို့ပါဝင်ဆွေးနွေးတာလေးလည်းလုပ်ပေးတယ်ပေါ့နော်
This man is a victim of human trafficking who has gone through the counseling at the information center. He was forced onto a fishing boat and forced to work for 2 years.
ဖြစ်ခဲ့ရတော့အရိုက်လဲခံရတယ်ဘလို့ထမင်းလဲငတ်ခဲ့ရတယ်ပလိတ်လိုက်ဖမ်းတာလဲပြီးခဲ့ရတယ်တတိလက်ထဲမှာသူတို့ကလည်းတတိရဲ့လူယုံကြီးရိုက်တာလည်းခံခဲ့ရတယ်
He was rescued in April 2015 and returned to Myanmar. For a while he lived at home with his mother and 3 sisters.
ပြန်ပါလိုက်ဆိုတဲ့အခါကျတော့ကျမတို့ကသူ့အတွက်နောက်ဆက်တွဲဆောင်ရှောက်မှုအတွက်ကိုဒီကျမတို့လူမှုဝန်ထမ်းဦးစီးဌာနပေါ့နော်လိုက်ခိုင်းတယ်ပေါ့လိုက်ခိုင်းတဲ့ခါကျတော့ဒါကျမတို့လူမှုဝန်ထမ်းဦးစီးဌာနရဲ့လူကုန်ကူးမှုကာကွယ်တားဆီးအဖွဲ့ရဲ့နောက်ကဒီ Save the Children ပေါ့နော်ကျမတို့ကတော့ပထမတော့ဒါရုံးချုပ်ကတော့ဒါ follow up ဆိုနောက်တစ်ခါကျတော့သူကတစ်ခါတစ်မျိုးနောက်ဆုံးကျတော့သူကဆီယမတဲ့ဟိုဟာပဲလုပ်မယ်ပေါ့နော်ဝက်ပဲမွေးမယ်ပေါ့သူတို့အရင်လဲဝက်မွေးမှုတယ်ပေါ့ဆိုတော့အဲ့တော့ကျမတို့ကတကယ်ဒီ survivor ကဝက်မွေးမယ်ဆိုတော့ကျမတို့ကသူလိုချင်တဲ့ဝက်ကိုသူ့အတူပဲကျမတို့ကပြန်ရှာခိုင်းတာအဲ့တော့ဟိုပေါ့နော်တားလိုချင်တဲ့ဝက်ကိုဒီဝက်ပေါက်လိုချင်တာဝက်အကြီးလိုချင်တာဝက်နေတော့လားဘယ်လိုမျိုးလဲဒါကိုယ့်ကိုပဲသူဝယ်ချင်တဲ့နေရာကိုလည်းရှာပြီးရင်ဝက်နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့ပစ္စည်းလေးတွေနောက်တော့သူတို့ကစင်းရဲတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့ဒါဝက်ထားဖို့အတွက်ခြံဆိုတာမရှိတော့လေကျမတို့ဒါတွေပါထည့်သွင်းစဉ်းစားရတာပေါ့နော်ဝက်ခြံလေးတွေစောက်ဖို့ဝက်အစားရှိတဲ့ဖြစ်နေပေါ့အကုန်လုံးကိုသူဒါလေးတွေချိတ်ဆက်ဖို့အတွက်နေရာလေးတွေကြည်ထားပေါ့နော်အကုန်လုံးပြည့်စုံပြီဆိုတော့မှကျမတို့ကဒါမြေပြင်ဆင်းပြီးတော့မှကျမတို့အဖွဲ့တွေပူးပေါင်းပြီးတော့မှသူလိုချင်တဲ့နေရာလိုက်လံပြီးတော့မှနော်ဝယ်ယူပြီးတော့သူ့ကိုထောက်ပံ့ပေးခဲ့တာမှာ
She says that she learned a special way to talk with the victims through the JICA project.
ဟိုပေါ့သူတို့ပြောနေတဲ့စကားတွေမှာပေါ့ကိုကမျောမသွားဘူးအဓိကဖြစ်တယ်ပေါ့နော်အခါကျရင်ဟိုသူကပြောတချို့ကြတော့လဲဟိုသူကဟိုဇလန်းထွင်ပြီးပြောနေတဲ့အခါမျိုးတွေလည်းရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့မြန်မှာဟိုကျမတို့ကောင်ဆလာတယောက်အနေနဲ့မျောမသွားဘူးပေါ့နော်သူကိုယ်တိုင်းကိုလိုက်မငိုရဘူးပေါ့နော်အဲ့လိုမျိုးလေးရှိပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီကတော့အဓိကထားပြီးတော့ဟိုကွာပေါ့ကျမအဓိကထားတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒါမျိုးတော့ဟိုသူတို့စကားတွေမှာမမျောဘူးတော့သူတို့ပြောတဲ့စကားကိုတေချာနားထောင်အာယုံစူးစိုက်ပြီးတော့နားထောင်ပါတယ်
It's JICA's utmost mission to build the capacity for the staff and agency for anti-trafficking, hoping to accelerate the measures for the victim protections and for their self-reliance recovery. Vietnam borders China, Laos, and Cambodia. Along with the increase in movement overseas for the cross-border labor or international marriage is the rising number of human trafficking cases in which people are tricked by brokers or even friends. JICA received a request from the Vietnamese government to set up a human trafficking hotline and established the Project for the Establishment of Anti-Trafficking in Persons hotline in Vietnam. This project was carried out over 4 years, from July 2012 to March 2016, in partnership with the Department of Child Protection and Care, Ministry of Labor, Invalid, and Social Affairs. The hotline was available for the victims of human trafficking and was run in cooperation with related institutions. This is the telephone hotline operating center in Hanoi. Here, several counselors and social workers are stationed at all times and respond to phone calls from the victims and their families. More than 10 trained social workers answer the calls in 3 shifts per day.
Vì ở đây là nó sẽ có hai cái mảng chính. Thứ nhất là mảng về mảng trẻ em, thứ hai là mảng về phòng chống mua bán người. Thì đối với mảng về mảng trẻ em thì trẻ em là gọi điện là chủ yếu. Còn đối với mảng về phòng chống mua bán người thì đối tượng cũng rất là khá là đa dạng, nhưng thường thì là những người trưởng thành. Họ quan tâm đến cái việc thứ nhất là tìm kiếm những cái nạn nhân hoặc là những cái người bị mất tích trong gia đình. Hai là họ tìm hiểu các cái thông tin khi mà họ muốn đi đến các cái nơi để làm việc, đặc biệt là sang nước ngoài.
They also carry out counseling and information provision activities tailored to human trafficking and safe migration in order to prevent victimization before it happens.
Và có một cái trường hợp mà tôi cảm thấy rất là vui khi mà mình đã giúp đỡ được cho trẻ em. Đó là một cái trường hợp mà bố gọi điện đến thông báo về cái việc con gái 16 tuổi bị mất tích. Và chúng tôi thì đã tiến hành kết nối với các cái chính quyền tại địa phương. Thế và cũng đã được tìm được trẻ về sau gần 1 tháng.
The phone calls to this hotline that strives to prevent trafficking are increasing year by year.
Chị ơi, thế thì mình có xác minh thêm thông tin về trẻ không ạ? Bởi vì hôm đó thì là em trao đổi là với chủ nhà.
The kind of support required by women, children, and men is different. It is important to see the situations in these societies in which it is easy for people to become victims and carry out victim-centered support. Further reinforcement of measures is essential so that we can decrease the number of human trafficking victims as much as possible.